White Earth Reservation, which is in northern Minnesota. You all know where Minnesota is? Kind of between Bemidji and Fargo, Minnesota. And it's one of 7 Anishinaabe reservations there, and as most of you know, most of our reserves are actually in Canada. Yeah, northern part of 5 American states, southern part of 4 Canadian provinces. And I'm very honored to be here with you. I'm a Bear Clan. I work in my community. I live on the reservation. I have, well, they say I have 6 children. They aren't all mine, but every time I come home, there's another one there. So I raise a lot of kids, and I'm very fortunate and very grateful to be here with you. Thank you all for coming tonight. And to Malice people, thank you very much for having me here in your community. Very honored. Can you hear me in the back up here? Do I have to use my mom voice? All right. So I was trying to make these go faster. You saw me fussing around. How do you make this thing go faster? Like,
just the arrow key.
What?
When I hit like right, it's going to filter the next picture. No, you can do it. No, I believe in you.
This thing here?
Just the right key. Almost.
No, I didn't do anything.
No. On the computer you're talking about.
Yeah.
What?
Go help her. Go help her. Go help her.
I'm really sorry. I'm just like so not technology girl.
On the computer.
On the computer, keep saying. Okay, so I was just trying to show you some slides from my community. That's what I was trying to do, and then I was going to kind of go a little bit more formally into my lecture. But, you know, as I'm giving a few talks up here in your area, and I'm talking about some different things each time, but I was asked a little bit to talk about the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people and some of the struggles and a little bit of a broader perspective. So that slide we were fussing to get up there for the longest time, that grandma, remember that? Yeah. Here, let me see if I can, I don't know, I can't move this blue at all.
You want me to sit there and
Yeah, I need someone who's younger. I'm so sorry, you guys, I was just trying. I want to see her again, but anyway, her name is, can you go back that person? Her name is Roberta Blackwell, and she's a Dene woman from Big Mountain. And she's a Dene woman from Big Mountain, which I don't know if she's a Navajo reservation. And in the 1970s, there was a proposal to relocate 10,000 people. I don't know if you've ever heard about this case, but it was largely for the benefit of coal strip mining companies at the time. And a lot of those people were forced relocation, which is just like in this day and age, at some level, 10,000 people who lived, that's all they ever knew. Yeah. And then to force their removal is what happened in the United States. And it was largely for Peabody coal. And so her sign says, the creator's the only one going to relocate me. And that's what I like that. She's a good friend of mine and for many years, and she's really encouraged me in the work that we did. But I always think about her, and someone just sent me that picture today, and I said, well, that's a perfect example, you know, because she never did get relocated, and the creators who relocated her. And she was quite elderly at the time she passed on. But what I want to say is that in our Anishinaabe teachings, which are a little bit similar, I think, to teachings up here, we have a lot of prophecies. And, you know, I take those seriously. I'm a person that, you know, I went to all the schools, I did everything, but I actually believe that a society based on conquest can't be sustained. I actually believe that you can't live within empire and try to keep it going, which is kind of what we got in North America. You know, this time here, this moon in our language, is called Onabamagesus. Just before Onabamagesus, which is our hard-crusted snow moon. And then the Iskigamizigesus is our maple syruping moon. You guys have that?
Yep.
That's actually an April maple syruping moon. Then we have Wabaganagesus flower, Odaminigesus, our strawberry, Mean-gesus, blueberry moon. You guys have these things, right? Winona LaDuke, our wild rice-making moon. You don't have that. And then we have Wachibagagesus when the leaves change color. Then we have Binoculogesus when they fall. Then we have a moon, Gashpatiogesus, that's around November when it freezes over. Yeah? Probably about the same time here in November?
Yep.
Yep. Manitou-gesus, little spirit moon, Gishi-Manitou-gesus, great spirit moon, and then the Native-gesus, sucker moon. Now the reason I said that, couple things. I thought you might like to hear our language. The other thing is, I don't know if you noticed that none of those moons is named after a Roman empire. There's nobody Roman in any of our moons. It is possible to have an entire worldview that has nothing to do with the Queen, with anything New Brunswick, New nothing. I'm just trying to be honest about this. It's okay. You know, and you can kind of, you know, at some point, it's all right. Just take a breath. We're okay. We're just all right here. And in our prophecies and teachings, those guys came to us a long time ago, those prophets. And they said, everybody has some of those. And ours said to us, they talked about the times ahead, and they talked about it in terms of fires. And our people, they said that we start out here and then we move towards the west. And we followed a shell which appeared in the sky. That's how we knew where to move. That's a pretty interesting story. Huh? And we moved to the place where the food grows on the water, which was wild rice. That's where we moved to, where we live, you know. And that's where we end up. But it was said that they come to us and they talked about these times and they talked about things that was going to happen. And I said, we've messed some things up ourselves. And I always say that because no society has a monopoly on botching things up. You know what I'm saying? That we're human. You know, and all our teachings as old teachings as Anishinaabe or other indigenous peoples often talk about those things we messed up. You know, we did that. But you know, the question is if you got the humility, if you've got the commitment, you know, the prayers to fix things. You know, but just remember that because I hate that blaming guilt thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like I feel really bad about the way things are now. I just don't know if I can do anything. You know, that's just like, that's the way we are, man. We mess things up and got to fix things, you know. But then they talked about some people come and some be good and some would not be so good, and that's true. And they talked about a lot of things that happened to our people. I don't think they had a word for, you know, they said our people disappeared, and I sure didn't have a word for those epidemics that swept through. But they, you know, our people wiped out, you know. And then they talked about some, things would disappear. They didn't have a word for anthropologists, but I know that's what they're talking about. All the ships were hauled off to the museums and such, you know. And then they said these people be born. This is the sixth fire. I'm abbreviating the story. Okay? It's really a long story. But there's a reason I tell you this, because I said the sixth fire, our people would remember who they were. We go back and we find some of our things and we remember our languages. We go find our languages, our drums, our ceremonies, and they come home to us. You know, and we would become these people, Ashke Anishinaabe. That's what they call them, these new people. And they said when them people come around, then this time would come in the time of the seventh fire. And they said that we would be the people who had two choices ahead of us. One choice, they said, one path, Mikana, one path they said was well-worn, but it was scorched. The other path was not well-worn and it was green. And it would be our choice upon which path to embark. Time of the seventh fire. And that's what our people say is that this is that time that's now. You know, and so our people, you know, as Anishinaabe people have that choice, but I honestly believe that's where Canada's at. I honestly believe that's where the United States is at. You got, you know, plenty of ability to make two choices, and, you know, by and large, we aren't doing the right thing, you know. But that's this time. And so, you know, I think about that a lot because those teachings had some value and some meaning to us, you know, and they still do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our struggles and our resistance, and then I'm going to talk about kind of like where we are now. And I don't know what you know much about me. You know, I've been at this pretty much my whole adult life. You know, I'm an economist. I'm a rural development economist by training. I spent a lot of years in school. I finally came out of the closet as an economist a few years ago. It's like such a dirty word, you know, the economist said. You know? And there's a reason actually it's a dirty word, because most of those guys are just so, you know, they're so off. I'm like, why did you get that? Oh, that's right, I went to class with you. My God, did you not yet learn that there is not a limitless supply of anything? You know, the whole model of economics is based on this like endless supply of something that you can get. And it turns out they're not making any new water. Well, unless you count melting the polar ice caps. You know what I'm saying? They're making new stuff. And so you don't get to have this empire world view where you can keep getting someplace else, which is what a lot of those economic models are based on. So as a young person, I spent a lot of time first, I'm a little bit of an energy geek. I'm going to show you some slides on that, but I spent a lot of time fighting mines as a young woman. And what I found, which is probably not that different 30 years later, frankly, is that the companies would come in and they'd say jobs. That's what they would say. Oh, I heard this recently too. They said, we'll bring you a lot of jobs. And we're going to give you these contracts and it's a really good deal. Right? That's what they would say. I don't know if you've heard this at all lately. But, so they went down first to Navajo. And I was researching, I had been working on this as a young woman. And I was researching uranium mining, which I heard the companies came recently, right? I was an undergraduate at Harvard, and I remember this study that said perhaps the solution to the radon emission problem is to zone the land into uranium mining and milling districts so as to forbid human habitation. Right? 1978, Los Alamos Scientific Lab. Right? And that would seem to be actually a relevant step. If you were a community that was approached by a corporation, you might want to know that, right? You might want to know that there's no safe way to mine uranium. Turns out, But they went down to Navajo. When I moved down there, there was 44 operating uranium mines and 10 uranium mills. 5 coal-fired power plants and 4 coal-fired plants. And 1 year, that nation exported enough energy to fuel the needs of the state of New Mexico for 32 years. And 85% of their houses had no electricity. So that's a snapshot of what colonization looks like, and I'll tell you what, Atawapiskat is